What is going on, beautiful people? I hope you are having a fantastic day. Welcome back to another episode of the Thrive Forever Fit Show. As always, I'm grateful for you. I'm pumped that you're here. And the fact that you spend your time listening to me rant and rave is unbelievably amazing to me. And I couldn't be more grateful for it. Secondarily, this podcast is sponsored by a brand new product that I have just released to the market. It's called Elite Collagen. If you're not taking a collagen product, then you just don't care about your healthy skin, your healthy hair, your healthy nails, your joints, your cardiovascular health, just your overall body wellness. Collagen is an amazing product that is going to help with everything. And listen, I mean, you're exposed to a lot of elements. Why not internally fortify your system with a beautiful collagen? But here's the situation. Some of you guys are, no, hey, bud, I'm already taking a collagen. Appreciate you. Got you. I got bad news. The problem is this. Most collagen powders are just that. They're powdered collagens, and they're made from bovine, which is cows, or porcine, which is pigs' skin. Have you ever seen a cow's skin or a pig's skin? Some of them are plant derived. We won't even get into those. The collagen, it's not even really a collagen product. It's a makeup of stuff that tries to become collagen. But if you're taking a collagen powder, one of those big hefty collagen, gross, chalky, whatever it is, just know that it's coming from skin of cows and pigs. And of course they wash them. But if you've ever been at a pig farm or a cow farm, not the most savory of things. My collagen is a marine-based collagen. And here's the big thing. Forget all the other shit I've already said. Here's the differentiation between mine and the one you're already taking. Mine is half a tablespoon every day. It's a delicious chocolate mint flavor. And here's the big stuff. Here's the real deal. Here's what nobody's telling you. The powdered collagens get broken down inside of the gastrointestinal stomach, inside of the stomach. That's not where collagen gets absorbed. Collagen actually gets absorbed and has a higher efficacious benefit if it's absorbed in the small intestine. Well, see, mine passes through the stomach based on a beautiful collection of polymers and a collection of these peptides. If you heard that, that's just Rudy taking a sneeze. He likes to be introduced in some of these podcasts, and I didn't give him a proper shout out. But my collagen actually passes through the stomach and gets digested inside of the small intestine, which is where all the magic happens. Your powdered product's not even making it there. So you're getting very minimal, if any, efficacious effects from drinking that chalky, gross tasting powder product. So if you're interested, just go to thriveforeverfit.com, go to my store. You'll see Elite Collagen on there. You can pop me a note. I'll give you all the details. It is unbelievably amazing. I've been taking it for a while because I've been testing it and creating it and everything. Guys, it is revolutionary and it is unbelievable. I can't wait for you to try it. Elite Collagen. Go grab yourself some today. Take care of your skin. Tom, welcome to the show, brother. I'm excited about this.
And I thank you for the invite. Thanks, Jake.
Absolutely. You know, I've done all my research on you once I got the opportunity to have you on the show. And I've got a boatload of questions. I'm fascinated with the research that you've done. My first thing is this. I feel like we should give just a baseline definition of like, what is scalar energy? What is scalar light? And then I can like dive into some really deep questions that I've got.
Okay, sure. That makes sense. Scalar energy. I work with scalar energy. It's not electricity. Some people call scalar energy 0-point energy or prana. Some have even used the term consciousness. So this is the quantum field. This is the energy of the universe. Understandably, it's scalar energy is from the sun and the stars. So it is the universal life force energy. You could call it the universal quantum energy. It's not a movement of electrons. This is not an electrical current. This is a different energy spectrum. Nikola Tesla was the first man to experiment with scalar energy by way of instrumentation.
How did you most young men don't grow up and think like, I'm going to research scalar energy, right? Like we want to play shortstop for the Yankees. Like, you know what I mean? Like we don't think of that. I wanted to drive a garbage truck in New York City. I have no earthly idea why. Doesn't make any sense. And thank God that didn't happen. But how did you get into this, brother? Like, how did you like decide like this is going to be my career?
You're right. It's rather, it's peculiar. Let's just say that. I had a hankering. I had an affinity for Nikola Tesla. Even as a youngster, I was reading about Tesla.
Okay.
And I said, this man is a genius because he understands the principles of nature. Scalar energy really brings us back to the first cause. It really brings us back to the cause of a phenomenon. And Tesla understood that. And after reading Tesla and musing about Tesla, I said to myself, I want to follow in the footsteps of Tesla. So no, I really did not want to be the shortstop. I wanted to follow in the footsteps of Tesla.
That's cool.
And yeah, thank you. That was my that was my aha moment.
Did you see, I've always been interested in science and the human body and biology and why things happen. And then, like, just even now that I've gotten older, like I'm really into like psychology and like the unconscious brain and all of the things of that nature. Right. Did you start out just being like loving science as a whole?
Yes.
Or
yes.
Okay, so walk me kind of through that.
Yeah. It really is a thirst for knowledge that I've always had, and I've always been inquisitive. And I have to say that many times it's a struggle, but nothing intimidates me. Even though I might not understand a scientific principle, I'll wait for God to explain it to me. And that's the key. You have to wean yourself. You have to really become, if you will, exposed to this and willing to learn.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they close that doorway. They don't want to learn. So as long as you're open to this, open to new experiences and willing to be taught, then you're going to be a great scientist.
You know what? I couldn't agree more. Something you just said there like really resonates with me is like, I just really believe that life is a series of unanswered questions. And the more questions we ask and the more open we are to receiving feedback, not even necessarily from another human like myself, right? But from nature, from, different, like you said, from God or from universe or whatever it is you believe in,
right.
Like you'll be presented with answers throughout your life. The key point is you've got to be open enough to be able to recognize it as an answer to a question that you've already asked. So good for you. Were you like that as a kid? Were you just really?
Yes, as a kid. And I was willing to learn. Yes.
You probably drove your parents crazy, but they were also probably fascinated by you.
I did. I was always hyperactive. I had that obsessive compulsive attitude. I still have it today. And once I see something, I go for it. Once I see something and I really can understand at least the fabric of a concept, I'll go for it. And again, I'm not afraid to make mistakes. If you're a scientist, if you're a researcher, get ready. You're going to make mistakes.
You know what I heard? I heard a scientist say something. Let me ask you if you agree with this. They said, my job is to consistently try to prove myself wrong. Yes. Meaning like always try to like prove my hypothesis to not be true so that then I can further my knowledge of what it is I'm trying to do.
And that's very smart. That's sagacious. And why? Because you cannot become groupthink or any type of if you will, inflated opinion of yourself. You always have to look at it at a different angle, and you cannot discount anybody or any phenomenon. You always have to consider it within the possibility, the realm of being possible. Yeah. Long story short, the really great scientists that I've studied, and many of them, they've always been humble and open to learning. As soon as you think you know it all, nobody understands nature.
Yeah. You know what? I have a saying that I use just in my personal life and in my teaching and coaching is like, I'm always confident, but sometimes I'm wrong. and I reserve the right to change my mind based on new information that gets presented to me or based on experiences that prove myself to be wrong. And I think if we're willing to do that, we can get so much further. And you had to be willing to do that to dive into a field like scalar light, scalar energy. Yes. So when you started, researching and reading about Tesla, and now you've got this thing, you're really into like restoring optimal health and enhancing quality of life. Like, is that a new thing, or is that kind of like always why you wanted to do this?
I've always wanted to do that. later in my life, I want to create free energy devices, but I just don't have the knowledge. But for the time being, I can improve human health, animal health with these instruments. So that's where God wants me, and that's where I'm going to concentrate my effort right now.
I love it. Now, I want you to explain something really quick so that I make sure that I'm not confused. And I've talked a lot about it on this channel and with my coaching clients and the people who follow me, is that I'm really into frequencies, right? So like, 888, 999, like the,
Yes.
432, all of that kind of, frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Explain to me just in really layman's terms, like what's the difference in that versus scalar and or scalar light, scalar energy?
You're right. You hit the nail on the head. A frequency is an instruction.
Mhm.
And every instruction has its proper time and place.
Right.
And yes, there are profound frequencies. And if we use that for our soul, mind, and body, we can benefit from that. Now, I'm not saying all frequencies. There's obviously some type of radioactive frequency that we obviously want to avoid. But you're right. A frequency is an instruction from nature. And nature has an infinite number of instructions, hence an infinite number of frequencies.
Right.
You're absolutely right. Now, with scalar energy, I don't use the term frequency. I usually use the term signature.
Okay.
It's not a cycle, if you will. Scalar energy is not a movement, like it's not a per se cycles per se. But nonetheless, if we use that term, yes, it's an instruction. That's the key element with energy. It carries instructions. It's instructional. It's informational. So if you look at the universe, you say, how do we get all of these instructions? Where does this intelligence come from? Our universe is intelligently designed. How?
Right.
By light, by energy.
Okay. I'm just, my brain is kind of like I'm going in a million different directions. I'm trying to calm my brain down so I can ask the appropriate questions, because uber fascinating. The first question that came to mind when you're saying that is signatures, right? Like does every organism or microorganism or animal or plant or us, do we all have a unique signature? Okay.
Of course, it's our genome, which is the end expression. But I believe, to be more precise, that scalar energy has a specific instructions, a specific information body that creates our genome. And I can prove that from various experiments. Scientists have been able to manipulate the genome by way of scalar energy. If you will, I can break down the genome of a virus, say the measles virus, with my instrument, because scalar energy controls and creates the genome of a virus, and I can break down that genome with my instrument. Meaning what? Scalar energy instructions can instruct the DNA or RNA of a virus and break it apart.
I know people's brains just went crazy there because you said the V word, and they went absolutely radical, thinking, well, why then did we not just do this to get rid of that? I'm
Right.
not saying it so we don't get, undocumented on YouTube and all that. So that brings up that question. And then and my brain just went to this, is there a delivery system that is better and or needs to be implemented in order for things like you're talking about to happen?
Yeah, so the delivery system, if you will, is a scalar energy instrument. Now, I have instruments that, if you will, control that spectrum of energy. So how do I deliver this energy? These are scientifically calibrated instruments. They're rather sophisticated. And I've modeled them after tests on another scientist, Hieronymus. And these are the prototypes of scalar energy instruments. This is the model one, if you will, of scalar energy instruments. Hopefully we'll have many models and many improvements. But what I've discovered with scalar energy, it has masterful control over physical geometry. You can create a molecule or you can break apart a molecule.
Okay, so back to that kind of delivery thing. I kind of talked to you a little about this in the beginning. I have a doctor friend who owns a skincare company, and about 5 years ago, he introduced to the market water that was infused with scalar energy for particular things like acne or rosacea or hyperpigmentation or gut biome, things of that nature. And I remember when he was talking to me about this, I'm like, what is what and how and all of these things, because it's not mainstream, right? And so how do we get people to say, okay, not mainstream, but still validity, like still has a valid place in space?
Yeah, but thank you. My predecessor, Hieronymus, secured a US patent, a Canadian patent, and a British patent for his invention. Tesla was building a free energy tower in Long Island, New York, and he demonstrated a transmission of free energy without wires. So those are examples of these scientific advances that these gentlemen have made.
Now, when you say free energy, what does that mean?
Free energy meaning you don't generate the energy. If you look at our current model, we generate energy from an engine.
You mean there's not a source that's creating the energy?
Yes, very good. So what am I getting at with scalar energy? It's free energy because it's from the sun and the stars. You don't need a motor. You don't need an operating plant. You don't need a power generator. Free energy is the norm for scalar energy. Free energy abounds in the universe. It's sunlight, starlight. You simply have to learn how to tap into the scalar energy sunlight, and that will end our energy crisis.
Okay. I'm going to ask you one more question, and then I want to dive into how we can use this maybe like on a specific example, like maybe to control a pathogen or a bacteria or a fungus or something. So I had a podcast recently, and this person's significant other is down in Mexico, and they're actually doing a trial right now. And I don't know the details of it. So this is very simplistic, but I'm gonna say they've taken one set of crops, and let's just call it broccoli, and right next to it planted the exact same crop, broccoli. One side, they're going to use actual pesticides, you know, what the Roundups, the normals. On the other side, they've taken the frequency, if you will, or signature or whatnot of said pesticide, and just infused it in, I'm going to use the word infused, that's probably completely wrong, infused it into the water or the spray that they're using to control the bugs, and they're measuring the results of just using the frequency over actually using the chemical. Sounds fascinating to me. Like there's no, it hasn't been, the study's not far enough along to look at that, but I mean, that could be revolutionary in what it is that from the human perspective, from, not having to use all of that stuff. Is that in the same vein of how we would introduce it to a human?
Yes, exactly. I'll give the audience a keen insight to what I'm doing right now. I'm working with an HIV clinic in Delhi, India. And I've already worked with 2,000 people who are HIV positive. And those individuals that I've worked with in Delhi, India, they tell me they're feeling better. Now, many of them have had a follow-up PCR test, a polymerase chain reaction test, after the scalar energy sessions. And out of that group, that clinic, everybody is undetectable. There's no detectable viral load. So this is a clinic, an HIV clinic. You'll hear about this in the future. We've already worked with 2,000 people at this clinic, and they feel better, and their symptoms of HIV have abated.
Can you walk me through like what is a session like? Just because I think people are thinking like, oh, well, Tom, what are you giving this person? Like, what are you injecting into them or having them administer? And I don't, and I think, and I know that's not the answer, but I want you to say.
To back up a minute. Remember, scalar energy is not electricity, two different phenomena. When I work with people, I work with them by way of a photograph. This is my photograph. My photograph carries a signature. Light is embedded, encoded on the photograph. And my photograph will allow me to receive a scalar energy session because I'm connected to the light. Well, that's what I do with people in India. For instance, this is a collage, not necessarily from India, that's just a collage. And people will send me collages like this from around the world. And I can work with people remotely by way of their quantum field. Let me make this quick analogy. My cell phone is a quantum field. Obviously, it's not me inside the cell phone, it's my voice. It's been, if you will, calibrated. And likewise, a photograph of a person represents the person. I don't work with people, I work with their signature, just like I work with the signature of a signal on a cell phone. So I work with people around the world by way of their photograph.
Does every would every one of my photographs have the same signature?
Yes, because
Okay.
you are the same. Yes, your
Right.
signature, your scalar energy signature stays with you for life. It's as peculiar as your fingerprint.
And it wouldn't be altered from the time I was 20
No.
versus the time I was 40.
No,
Interesting.
that's the profound concept to grasp here. It is your unique. In other words, God has given you his unique signature.
Well, I mean, that makes total sense, right? I mean, if you
Yeah.
think about a fingerprint, or you think about, just our, facial features, if you will, like there's always nuances that we only have. Okay, based on that, I know some people are like, wait a minute, what are you signature photograph? So can you dive into that a little bit deeper for me, that
Yeah.
just to make everybody kind of understand?
Yeah, let's go back to this analogy. A cell phone. This cell phone receives satellite signals or signals from a cell phone tower. So I can transmit my voice, modulate my voice across a continent. Well, likewise, a photograph has a signal to it, and I can transmit this by way of my instrument, which acts like a satellite. So if a satellite can deliver a cell phone or voice or a text message, then my satellite can deliver energy to the quantum field. Okay.
So this is going to be archaic. So basically, so you're saying that you would put the photograph into a
Yes.
device. The device would then read, and then you would
Yes.
analyze the reading, much like an X-ray, right? When
Yes.
you get an X-ray taken, it goes to the radiologist puts it on the whiteboard or the light board, and then they read the X-ray. Very similar, but not. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, indeed. That's it.
Okay.
Correct.
And then based on that, what do you see? I mean, I know that's a big question, but
it's a good point. I believe it's a divine energy. So if you will, this is the all-seeing eye, and God can see anything in your quantum field. God knows everything about you, soul, mind, and body. So one of the things that I've been able to do with my instrument is to pick out a pathogen or a virus on the photograph and destroy it, break it apart. This is the key. Whatever action takes place on the photograph seems to have an identical action in person. So whatever I do to the photograph seems to have an immediate, real-time, identical action to a person.
Based on the quantum field.
Yes, on the quantum field. So what is this? This is my bilocated version.
Right. Is that because our energy is universal? Like
yes.
Okay.
It has to be.
I'm not that smart, Tom. I'm just throwing stuff out here.
Oh, well, you're very smart. So how do I treat these people in India? I've never been to India, and nobody from India has come to my laboratory. Their quantum field, so to speak, their quantum field is everywhere.
Can I ask you a question? So Tom, when you see their photo, so let's say you get a photo from a new patient from that clinic.
Right.
And let's just say you didn't know it was from that clinic. Would you be able to identify HIV?
Yes.
Based on just that photo?
Yes.
And then could you analyze the same photo 6 months from now and then notice the non-presence of HIV?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Presence and absence of HIV. Very good. Yes.
Okay. Woo. All right. And so in some of the notes I wrote there's over 400,000 pathogens, bacteria, funguses, viruses, parasites.
I'll explain that. I'll explain that. I'm holding up a photograph of Streptococcus mutans. It's a bacterium that is responsible for oral decay, if you will, periodontal disease.
Okay.
I have photographs of pathogens. I have over 400,000 photographs of microbes. And in so doing, I program my instrument with these photographs of microbes. And hence I can destroy potentially now 400,000 different species of microbes.
So if you saw my photograph and you put it through your device, it would it would light up, for lack of a better term, to say Jay has the presence of this particular Staphylococcus virus.
Yes.
And then based on that, how does the scalar energy it's the only way I know how to ask it. How does it work?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't simply just say, okay, I'd like for that virus to be gone.
Yeah, the instrument is devised what I call reverse phase angle. It will look for a pathogen and break it apart. So in phase would create a molecule, out of phase would break down a molecule, would negate the molecular bonds. And that's what I'm doing. I'm looking for pathogens, and the machine automatically breaks down the molecular bonds.
So I'm playing devil's advocate here. I just heard somebody scream from Kansas and say, well, wait a minute. If Tom's got that kind of power, couldn't he do something bad with my photograph? Couldn't he do something that would maybe harm me, or maybe that I don't want done?
Yeah, and the answer to that is a yes. And thank God that I observe Christian principles when working with this instrument. And to cut to the chase, this is one of the reasons why I do not sell this instrument. I don't want this in the hands of the general public.
Okay. So there's a high trust value basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Between what you would do. And so let's backtrack a little bit to this clinic in India. So did they come to you and they found you like, hey, Tom, like we heard you're the dude, and like how we do this, right?
Yeah, we have a few humanitarian directors that work with us, and these humanitarian directors found that clinic in Delhi, India, and they're very open to working with us. Every week I receive 150, 200 photographs of people who are HIV positive every week. And the results are stellar. After the scalar energy sessions, the people feel better and nobody has a viral load. So I'm going to go out in the future and say in the next 3 or 4 years, you'll hear about this on headline news.
Would be fascinating. I mean, I think it's like we talked about before we hit play. I think it's oftentimes when we don't understand something, we just automatically mark it as irrelevant, can't be true, whatever that might be. And I think, whether this is the first time you're hearing about scalar energy or the second time or the 100th time, I think having an openness to the ideas and the possibilities and the principles of the quantum field and of universal energy in and of itself, I think is really interesting. I think, you said you wrote something in your bio about balancing chakras. And I think everybody's heard of chakras, right? With yoga and all of that. So I think this might be a good way to kind of anchor for someone who already kind of has that concept or belief.
Very good. Yeah, I believe there are chakras, 7 of them, 7 main chakras. And I believe the fundament that they observe is scalar energy. Why do we have chakras? They're spinning vortexes of scalar energy. And now we have a firmer understanding of why we have chakras. They are the 7 processing points of light, scalar light. And what is the animating force? Well, it's always scalar energy. So the 7 chakras are 7 points of scalar energy.
So at any given time or at all given times, then we actually have and are experiencing scalar energy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. And then do we have the ability to auto correct, or does it always take it outside? Because, you hear about balancing chakras, do meditation, all that thing. So
I think people auto correct every night when they sleep. I think they auto correct every time when they have a positive thought or they pray or meditate. So what my machine does by way of this scientific principle, this scientific law, people can do that by positive thinking, prayer, meditation, or by rest, relaxation.
Look, Tom, we've already blown a bunch of people's minds, which is awesome and in a great way, because I think I know my audience well enough to know that they are going to be open to a concept and an idea that maybe something they haven't ever heard of before. Yeah. Maybe something that and listen, I'm the kind of person, like, just because you're listening to Tom and I talk about this right now, you do not have to fundamentally say that this has to be true, right? But whatever, I would encourage you to dive a little bit deeper. And I say that, Tom, because you have, you mentioned an offer that if anybody listening wants to, you want to talk about that before we go?
Sure. I believe in results, and let the audience know that I believe in real-time results. So what do I want to do for people? I give away 15 days of session. Anybody in the world can sign up at our website, 15 days of free sessions. All you're going to do is email us your photograph. That's your only requirement. This is free, no obligation. And after 15 days, you tell us how you feel. So the website is scalarlight.com. Visit the website. Anybody in the world is entitled to 15 days of free sessions. I want you to prove this to yourself. Yes, it's an esoteric subject, but you're in the driver's seat. You decide if you want to try this.
And if you go to scalarlight.com, guys, you can see all of the states that Tom, has proven or been successful in helping people with. So go to the website, check it out. If you're interested, sign up for the 15-day free trial and let Tom literally see what you got going on.
That's the key. I believe in results. People want results. I don't blame you. I want to see results too. I'm results driven. So visit the website, scalarlight.com. Send in your photograph. Email us your photograph. We'll balance your chakras. We'll eradicate, eliminate germs, microbes, and you determine if this is advantageous.
I appreciate this, brother. This has been very enlightening, very informative. I'm excited to hear people's results from trying the 15 days. So thanks for joining me today, my man. And I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, Jim.
All right. Hey, before you go, I'd just like to say thank you again for listening to the Thrive Forever Fit podcast and watching on YouTube. It means the absolute world to me. And if you would do me one favor, and that is simply subscribe and review this podcast on whatever platform it is that you enjoy it on, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, doesn't matter. I would absolutely be so grateful and so thankful if you do that for me. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you again next week with an awesome episode. Bye.